So tonight, as my special guest, I would like to welcome Spike Polite.
Hey,
Hello,
it's good to be
Spike.
on the show, Tara. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's really exciting to have you on the show. And it's quite funny because I was thinking, what am I going to ask you? But at the same time, I feel like I've known you for so long that I feel like it's going to our conversation is just going to come out naturally.
Yep.
Because when we first met, when I first met you online, I think it was all the way back in MySpace time, wasn't it?
Wow, that's a while ago. Yeah, I missed the MySpace. MySpace had some good stuff, but I can't seem to get logged back on anymore. I forgot my password.
Me too.
I think they wanted everybody to lose the password. Yeah.
Yeah, but why? I didn't Justin Timberlake bought it, didn't he?
Oh, that's just to force people, yeah, to pay money or to, yeah,
Oh,
it's a scheme. Yeah.
and I wrote some really good poetry that I left on MySpace thinking that it'll always be there.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone and gutted. But yeah, so we've kind of both been on the kind of DIY punk scene, haven't we?
Yes, yes. Underground, a lot of it, yeah. In fact, here in New York, obviously it's not the main music there is. It's
Yeah.
you know, I think pop and hip hop are probably the top, and then punk rock,
Same
though it
here.
started here and then started in London, it doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
tell me your journey from MySpace to now musically, what you've been doing. Because at the moment, your website for your music is spikesewage.com.
Correct. Yes.
Tell me what you were doing back then and tell me how you got into music, what you were doing then, and try and give me
Well,
a short history.
well, how I got into music was I heard as a child, I heard the parents arguing upstairs and it felt kind of depressing. So I had music and I just hugged like the music and listened to that and found comfort in that. So much to the point that I would later on imitate it on a guitar and try to sing to it. And, eventually I was like, I like a certain type of music. And I think I kind of like the angry 80s punk stuff,
Yeah.
and punk stuff. I probably liked a lot of that London stuff a lot too. Like, the
Conflict?
actually there was a silly band of they had Becky Bondage singing for them for a little bit. Chaotic
Oh,
Discord.
who? What were they called?
Chaotic Discord.
Chaotic Discord.
Yeah, they had some real silly stuff. And then there was stuff like Gigi Allen that had, but originally I liked like Discharge or stuff like that. But
Yeah.
And Misfits and Dead Kennedys and all that kind of stuff. But it just seemed that you just had to go play the music yourself. And there was a scene and they had, slam dancing Santa Claus on MTV going down the CBs at the Sunday matinee show. But by then the music was already hardcore. It was not hardcore punk. It had turned to hardcore. So then it made it more difficult for punk rockers, even though it started here. Now it just was. So then you found like the dudes like the janitors and the maintenance men looking dudes like hardcore scene just started taking over and with that skinheaded thing, which I didn't really like much at all. But that's just the music thing going on. And so you write a little bit of
What era are we talking?
Like anything that happened after 86 is basically why they say every punk was 86, kicked out. But punk still stuck around because it started all. And those people every now and then would do a cover of a punk rock song and have a token punk rock band opening up for them or whatever. So I still found a way in. And then MTV would come around here and there with some stuff, but they kind of ran a monopoly on thing. I guess years and decades later, when I was in Jesse Camp and the H Street Kids, we were on Hollywood Records and we had our video on MTV every hour, on the hour.
Wow.
And the highlight of it is with me smashing the guitar. And they already sawed it really thin in some spots so it would break, because otherwise all I'm going to do is break the floor. And we had Reverend Run in the video, Kevin James from the King of Queens. We had Marky Ramone in it also, and another person too. And
fantastic. What happened with that record and that band?
No, that guy was he was a fake Krusty.
A fake Krusty. Can you get one of those?
Yeah. Yes, you can. So eventually everybody kind of seen through him, and he did just plummeted, you know. But before that, I had my band Sewage working with Spike Lee and filming at CBGB's, and we did something with a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame museum, a documentary on punk rock. And that exhibit is still there to this day in Cleveland, Ohio, and it does an exhibit cross comparison between New York and the punks in London. And
Lovely.
of course, I'm saying it started in New York, but different aspects of punk
I
started
probably think it does as well.
So, you know, we started by playing with the Yippies because we had been in those protests and riots in Tompkins Square Parks when we saw the police beating up our friend just because he was black and panhandling. He didn't even open the beer yet, so the cops came up and took his beer from him and started arresting him. And then he was saying, "I didn't even open it yet. Why are you arresting me?" So then they started beating on him, and the community had a concert going on, one of those punk hardcore shows, not the skinhead ones, but and everybody stopped and the music shut off, and then all the people rushed the cops, but me and my friends were the first responders. We were pulling my friend back away from the cops, and then everybody surrounded the cops, and you know, so eventually newspapers took pictures, and then I was in jail a couple of days later, and we all, you know, decided we needed to make a band because everybody was in the jail cell. We were thinking of lyrics about how it sucks, you know, and it was wrong. So we just made a band called Human Sewage. And the Yippies, who were connected with the anarchist and the squatter movement down in the Lower East Side, they took a shine to us and then booked us for the pop parade. So then we were playing with Cypress Hill and Onyx and all those kinds of things. But, you know, life as a musician, when I was a street punk too. So I had, you know, living in squats and, you know, just came from a broken home and never got my foot going in like other people do in life. But eventually, through all of this entertainment stuff, I got picked up by an agent one time, and it was Eastwood Talent. So he had me go out, auditions, modeling, acting, and then sometimes my band got things like we went to the Howard Stern thing, and then they picked a stupid metal band instead. Another one, it was a Wendy's commercial, and then they picked up the sneaker punk people, and we were like, posers, fuck you. But we did get our other thing though, where we got a skit with David Letterman. So at, you know, the Ed Sullivan Theater here. So, you know, we did get some up times, you know, and then we opened the show with Gigi Allen, and he died, you know.
So you actually met Gigi Allen?
Yeah,
what was he like?
He starts off really good, but then he was just kind of like a bully, because then he would just start picking on the kids there who are there supporting him and just taking their beers. And then the guy was 36 and we were just, you know, like 16 or whatever. You know, nothing wrong with age, but I mean, he was just taking advantage of us, you know. But you know, but we were all supportive of him, but he didn't really care, you know, because he was Gigi, and I'll fuck the world, and I'm gonna throw shit at people, and then I'm gonna die, so you won't get revenge on me. So, but yeah, he was filming in our neighborhood the Hated in the Nation documentary before he passed away. That 27th, 1993.
That's quite amazing, talking to someone on the other side of the pond that, you know, some of the names that we hear of over here, meeting someone that's actually met those people and even like done shows with them. Like, for example, you meet people from the States, they go, oh my God, you know, you've met you've got the Damned, and you've got, you know, the Buzzcocks, all these bands, and like we take them for granted that we might see them in the pub or, you know, get to do a show with them. And it's kind of the other way around with you guys. Gigi Allen, I think my band, we did a cover of one of his songs, Bite It You Scum, I think that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's pretty easy. It's like the 3 chords.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the 1. Yeah.
So actually, who knows, I might even play it on this show. So I'm trying to get basically, you give us permission to play your music, don't you?
Yes, yes.
Yay. Okay, cool.
So the story I told you about in Tompkins Square Park, we later on decades wrote the song Police Brutality in
Okay.
2000 during the pandemic, because there was nothing going on and there was no ideas coming in because it was the same thing over and over again. People wearing masks, people not want to wear masks, people don't want to stay inside, people want to, that kind of thing. So I had to go and think back now to some things that happened that were worthwhile, and I remembered that. So we wrote the song. And Michelle Schacht was somebody in the scene, and she happened to be at a show we were doing, and she joined up and said she wanted to play bass for us. And I was about to go get one of my derelict friends from the squat days, who probably would have let me down and probably would have been a drunk or ended up like, I'm on drugs and sorry, I can't make it. And instead, I told this guy no and said, yeah, come on, Michelle. And I had known of her from, her album Sharp Shocked, something short, Sharp Shocked or something. And
is she in the band now?
Yeah, she's been in it for 2 years, going on 3. And so she's a very political person and liked the ideas too. So, but I had took the drummer we had from the first Italian tour we did with the Professional Punkers record label.
Right.
He kind of had sabotaged some things for us then, but I took a chance on him again, and because he's a good drummer, and maybe he might have gotten more mature instead of being nothing wrong with teenagers, but if you're an adult, you can sometimes, act like a teen when you get drunk, but not all the time.
Yeah, it can get a bit boring if you're just one-sided personality.
Yeah. So so we kind of balance off with the political, and then I always had the fun punk stuff too, off of him with his liking the hardcore stuff. Now there's a power trio, but before that I had to.
I think. Hang on. Well, I think what we're going to do is, we've heard all these amazing things about you. It'd be really nice if our listeners and our viewers got to hear one of the tracks that you sent me. So I asked you to send me 3. Which one would you like our audience to hear first?
I think maybe Sewage High Def was there. Do you see Police Brutality on it?
I have got Sewage High Def.
Okay.
And I've got Subway Surfing.
Okay.
And Antichrist.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I'll explain this now. Subway Surfing was back in the graffiti days with punk rock and hip hop. We're all, started here out the Bronx, out my windows, the Bronx River is East 180th Street. And that was the staging ground for people to go graffiti the trains. But me as a punk rocker, I wasn't really graffitiing, though I know a lot of graffiti and criminals and all that good stuff, like Gotham Times. But what we used to do was we used to go between the cars because we knew it was above ground. There was no trains to no bridges to cut your head off. Right. And we'd get up and run along the whole top of the whole train from front to back, and then be like, with beer and whiskey and smoking our angel dust.
No Facebooks to kind of like promote it.
So we would subway surf, and it was literally going on top of the car when it's above ground.
Oh, amazing.
Elevated. And then people saw us, and we had our mohawks and spiky hair up, and the hip hop homies saw that, and they're like, oh, wow. So then they imitate us, but they didn't know why we went up there as the staging point. And that's because anywhere else you go, you're going to fall off, or you're going to get your head cut off, or you're going to die somehow. So when they went to imitate us, they got killed.
Oh, gosh.
And then it even brought heat on the graffiti people over here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my fault, but imitation is a form of flattery.
No wrong. Yeah,
so
imitation is a form of flattery. So very honored to play your song, Subway Surfing.
chest again. In the Bronx, in the Bronx. Chains, knives, and green fish, black and chest again. In the Bronx, in the Bronx. And we went subway 7, subway 7. Outside stone, and on again. Subway 7, subway 7. Police are staring at me again. Subway 7, subway 7. Subway 7, Madonna, way. Subway 7, subway 7. 1 o'clock running until daybreak. Until dawn, we made the best of nothing. Nobody can drag us down. In the Bronx, in the Bronx, we made the best of nothing. Nobody can drag us down. In the Bronx, in the Bronx, and we made subway 7, subway 7. Outside stone, and on again. Subway 7, subway 7. Police are staring at me again. Subway 7, subway 7. Subway 7, Madonna, way. Subway 7, subway 7. 1 o'clock running until daybreak. Sewage says don't go to the Bronx. Subway 7. Sewage says don't go to the Bronx. No, no, to the Bronx. No, no, to the Bronx. Don't go to the Bronx.
Oh, wicked.
The
Got
police will be
bouncing off
looking
my
for you.
chair. Excellent.
Yeah.
So
So,
what era was that again? What dates did you write that song, roughly?
oh, well, we actually, that one took a while. We started that one in the 90s, but we never got really far with it right away until about like 96 when
Yeah.
I had the guy from he teaches at Juilliard and he plays at the Guggenheim Museum. He plays flamenco guitar. So I seen him playing outside. He was a Buddhist. And I thought, wow, if the guy can play really really fast like that, imagine what he could do on the bass guitar, you know. So I put him on there, and then we were a power trio, and I put the metalhead on the drums because that's usually a good idea. That or a jazz drummer works good for punk
Yeah.
on as drummers.
Having said that, I've had a couple of jazz drummers, and it's
Yep.
never really worked out well for me. One guy, he absolutely hated me. He was like, I like the band, but I hate that girl. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, damn.
No, he was
Jeez.
the only drummer that disliked me, but I don't know what his problem was. And that was a long time ago. But he was a jazz drummer.
Yeah, no, they could fill in for a little bit, but you can't they're not really punk rock, you know.
No.
So
No. I like that song. That was full of energy.
yeah. So
I
we
can
recorded
imagine
that
people jumping up and down at gigs instantly at that.
like you jump up down on top of the train, subway
And
circle.
on top of the train. Incredible. Well, the best songs come out of, kind of some form of reality. You're not sitting there trying to write I want to be a punk artist, so I'm going to write a punk song. You talk about needing music. You got into music because of a situation that was difficult, and so you're kind of a natural songwriter, really. You write from feeling, and that's great, isn't it? Because I mean, that song was full of feeling.
It's great until maybe you might be a little not having enough feelings, and then you won't be able to
Yeah.
write. That's the only
Yeah.
drawback. Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes you can write some really good songs when you feel nothing. as
That's
well.
true too. Then you have to feel something though in when you're creating the progression of the music, then at least, and then it'll express it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to go when I was happy, I used to not be able to write very good things.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because it was always when I felt really bad that I would just really be able to really express it. But whenever I was happy, it would just be like a bit, oh, that's a bit cheesy.
Yeah.
But
I know what
now,
you mean.
I think I've passed happy stage, and I can, touch wood. I can kind of, it's good to be in a balanced place where you can reflect,
Yeah.
get into a feeling or something you're trying to express.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I like my latest songs. For me, I like them a lot, but they're not as angry as they used to be. I don't
I'm
know
sure
about
this.
you. Have you mellowed out with time?
Well, I mean, I'm not out there throwing bottles at police officers today, or, but there's reasons to do it. They just, I'm just not there, like the vigilante standing up everywhere I can because I'm a musician and I don't want to keep supporting the court system by going to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I basically what I was getting at earlier was that I probably was in a lot of trouble in my younger years with street fighting and all that stuff, and taking political things, like the thing I described with the riots, and then being in the organization of the anarchists, and the communists were okay too, but it really wasn't my thing. I liked the anarchists and the squatter movements, and the yippies were okay too. Punk rockers were kind of fickle. They would show up, they would say something was wrong, and not always would they do something. But it's not my job to do everything, you know what I mean? So
It's
I could
interesting.
write about some songs,
It's
some,
interesting you talk about all the different types of people, and the different movements. Maybe I guess you were just wherever you were in that place, you were in the right place at the right time, that you saw all the different
yeah.
sections of people. Do you know what I mean?
Tompkins Square Park. What it was the homeless were living in there. And then the mayor had something where he was losing something politically, and he had to make stamp his foot down somewhere else so he stomped and got rid of the homeless people. But they did it with the cops that were racial profiling and all that. They probably could have done it without a riot, but
Yeah.
they like to do what they did. So I would say though, it was the late 80s, early 90s, and there was a lot of movements there then. But after that happened, though, gentrification started. So everybody kind of got their last little pushback or funky part of pushback and I'm not going to take it anymore then. But there's really nothing there now. And the only thing that has people up in arms was during the pandemic with, again, the police brutality. But
You'll have to come back on the show, because I've just looked at the time. I'm like, wow, is it already that time? So you'll have to come back more. You can tell us more about New York and the New York music scene. So I just want to ask you, you got some shows coming up, haven't you? Your band is kind of doing. Can you tell me some of the shows you're doing?
Yes. Well, our next show will be March 4th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And we'll be playing with bands from here, like Urban Waste, and playing with Necrotic Society. And I just don't happen to have a flyer here on me at the moment. I look around. No, but and it'll be us. And then after that, we had some things lined up for Texas, and the booking was done a little too late. So I'm not sure we want to go there for only a couple of dates. You said you were going to be there yourself at some point.
I want to try and
Paper Tiger.
Sorry.
Were you going to be at Paper Tiger in March?
I don't know about Paper Tiger. Maybe I can pick your brains and maybe could help do some shows together. Who knows?
Yeah, we were because we were on that compilation with the Grimace Records.
Okay.
We put our song "Police Brutality" with them and Antichrist, and it's Dave Dichter from MDC, Millions of Dead Cops.
Yeah.
Him and Sophie. So we're trying to get them to help, but the booking's too late. So maybe we'll go back in the later part of the year. My ex-boss, because one time I played guitar in Cheetah Chrome's band when Guns N' Roses covered his song, they had to pay him. So he put a band together, and I was his rhythm guitarist for a little bit. And he liked me a lot from the neighborhood, Tompkins Square Park. And he lived in my squat for a little bit.
Yeah.
We lived in the 59th Street Bridge in the towers that support it.
Excellent.
So eventually he had me play guitar for him for a little bit, and I have a lifelong friend. So I'm asking him if he could play with me in Nashville, but yeah, I don't know. He hurt his arm or something. And
yeah, I heard that. I'd love to go to Nashville. Really, would love to go there.
well, the date is open, September 16th. If you feel like you can make it to America, I'll put you on the bill.
Woohoo!
If
That
you
sounds like something to aim for.
it's enough time out on the calendar, you know.
Okay. You never know. You never know. So we don't have much time left, Spike, but I really enjoyed chatting to you. And I want to know about your radio show. You've got a radio show as well, haven't you?
Well, actually, I just have a segment. It's actually an existing radio station called Whatever 68 Radio. It's out of San Diego. Lisa Gomez runs it, and she's on Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
But I have Mondays about the same time you start.
Okay.
And I go to local shows and I buy CDs or get stuff given to me as promo from the bands, and I'll play them. And sometimes I'll do an interview. Sometimes I'll just play the music and talk about what you heard, because it's about underground and unsigned artists. And I mean, I can't get away without playing like the Ramones or the Sex Pistols, because it's punk, and my show is punk rock and beyond. It's music. It's related forms of music that created punk or were created from punk rock existing. And it's a charity thing, you know. It doesn't pay any bills. It's just but it's certainly seemed to get all my budget spent on all this. This stuff here, you know. And
beautiful. And it's lovely to see Joe Strummer there on your wall.
Yeah, and I have some other things over here too. You probably like this Combat Rock.
Oh wow, cool. And Bruce Lee's up there.
Yeah, Bruce Lee.
That's so funny. When I was a kid, I there's a picture of Bruce Lee on the wall, and I said to my dad, and he was doing like a karate chop at it. And I was like, who's that guy? And he said, his name is Bruce as well, because my dad was called Bruce. And he said, but I killed him. You know, I was like, what? I thought my dad killed Bruce Lee.
That's silly.
Typical dad. Listen, Spike, I've really loved talking to you. If people want to know more about what you're up to, what's the best place for them to go? I've got your website, spikesewage.com.
Correct, spikesewage.com, and they can also look up Spike Polite _Sewage NYC on Instagram. Facebook is not really my thing. I'm on it sometimes, but not so much. So try Instagram or the personal site, and yeah.
Perfect. Okay, we're gonna. Which song would you like us to play out last?
Do the Sewage High Def. It has a zombie video behind it.
Brilliant. All right.
On YouTube.
So will you, before I play it, will you introduce it for me?
Sure. Count me in.
Go on then.
Spike Polite, and you're listening to Sewage High Def on the Terror REZ.
Oh. All right, cut. Start again. 1, 2, 3, go.
Spike Polite, and you.
Oops.
All right, try it again.
Sorry. Go. Start again.
Spike Polite, and you're listening to Sewage High Def on the Terror REZ Show.
slamming at my brain. Only that my fate. For now, my luck is what I make.
Thank you for having me, Tara.
Oh, right. And well, we'll keep talking and see you again. Yeah. Good luck with everything.
Okay.
See you later. Bye.